I think strategy became for me looking for where else can this be useful. This part of what I do, where else can it be useful?
If somebody were to take away, like, what does my strategy need to be? It needs to be sit down and take some inventory of everything that you can do. What is the real cost of staying in the classroom today?
You can afford to teach. I honestly would have wanted to do it for free. I didn't do it for free. I didn't do it anywhere near free. But when I think about it, I'm like, man, I should have, at least asked for what I wanted. But it's just so it's kind of breaking out those things, getting off the clearance rack. You practice inside to hone your skills.
Yes.
To figure out who you want and need to be, right? To get to, what you envision up to that point. And then once you go outside, the strategy is about.
Welcome back to the 5-Minute Career Hack podcast. And today, as always, I'm excited to have a super talented guest. I have Mr. Bavu Blakes. He is a speaker and author, a hip-hop MC, and an educator. Well, Bavu, welcome to the 5-Minute Career Hack podcast. I'm super excited to talk about something that I don't think that we have explored much of on the podcast. We've had a couple of educators. But I think the level of conversation that we're going to have today about education and specifically about being a teacher in that specific career industry, I think is going to be a blessing to others. But first, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yes.
Glad to be here. Appreciate the invitation. Ready to do my part.
Yes. I know it's going to be fire. So let's get straight into it because I have children. You have children.
I do.
You're around children all day. I think what teachers do is one of the most important careers out there. What you do is high impact and literally shapes the future of people in general.
Sure.
One of the most important career fields, one of the lowest paid career fields, which I think is super interesting. I'm always like shocked when a teacher tells, especially a public school teacher, tells me their salary. So here's the question that I want to ask you. What is the real cost of staying in the classroom today? And if you had to start doing some math to add it up, how would you quantify that?
Well, what came to mind first is that after 6 years in the classroom, I spent 5 years out of it, and now I've been back in for 2 years. So like Shirley Murdoch said, I should have counted up the costs, but instead I got lost.
Hip-hop MC on the ones and the twos. Yeah.
And I think to begin to count the costs, of course, there's just the fact that you have to be, I have to be on campus from 7:45 to 4:15, 4:20, Monday through Friday. That's the expectation, with about 10 days off.
Yeah.
So flexibility is gone in the daytime between early July for the campus I'm on now, between early July all the way to the end of May. 5 days, all day. So that's a huge opportunity cost. The other cost is where else could I be making more money all day, right? What career could I have been in with my skill set, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there is a calling, right? And that's a place where I'm able to get benefits and interact with not just children I choose, but whoever, gets assigned to me and things of that nature. So there's an adventure to it that's definitely worth it. There is it's a very influential position, as you said. There's a lot of influence, there's a lot of impact, there's a lot of adventure. It's not all wonderful. There's some moments of frustration. So I think I'm thinking about, I guess, pluses and minuses because it all determines the cost at the end of the day. What am I leaving out? Yeah, just the time constraint, the actual wealth of the position, which is often not monetary. But then also you make a couple of moves or a couple of things happen in the industry, and even the money you make can change dramatically too. Because I make way more from teaching now than I did last year.
Gotcha.
Just for a couple of reasons. One is my wife started teaching full-time at ACC.
Mm-hmm.
So we put the kids on her benefits because it's much cheaper.
Gotcha.
And I literally get a third check a month as a result.
Nice.
Now,
from taking benefits, like from moving the family from benefits on one plan to another, it's like a third check.
It's a third check.
Gotcha.
Which is sad, because I'm like, if you serve in the
That's
military, do you pay for benefit? You know, should teachers be paying for benefits? Should any teacher be paying 30% of what they would make to insure their family?
Right.
But that happened. Some kind of raise happened based on shifts with the Department of Education over the summer too, and that was about a 10% bump. So things happen here and there, but at the end of the day, you do have that time commitment. You have, the compare and contrast, and you have the sacrifice that comes with a calling, which I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I love the thought process of, and just in general, people who are in those roles, you are responding to a calling. Most teachers who I meet are like, I knew I wanted to do this when I was a kid. Yeah. And so I love that. And I also heard you talk about benefits, which there's the benefit of being in a high impact role. And I'm sure some of the reward that you get in benefit is maybe seeing a student who excels and succeeds, right?
Absolutely.
And so those are things to me that are qualitative. And there's also the reality of the practical piece of I have to take care of my family.
Absolutely.
I am I'm a husband to a wife and two children. I need benefits in order for my family to not just survive but to thrive. And Absolutely. So there's the qualitative costs and benefits. And then there's the quantitative cost and benefits. And I know you shared that like the average teacher makes about $250 per day. Yet I think the superintendent is at like $1,000 per day.
Yeah.
And so when you think about those costs, those dollar costs, right? Like how do you practically like add it up and go, okay, this is what makes sense? Like what does the strategy of that look like for you?
The strategy.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe the planning of, this is what, and maybe too, like, because obviously there's a shift. I think we talked about that. Like in order for you to be able to afford to teach, let's just call it what it is. Yeah. There's a shift in mindset, a career plan that you had to make in order for that to happen. So what does that look like when you consider those costs?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I came out of like an independent music grind, and I'll use those words very intentionally. So after getting married, having my first child, I read a couple of books, Think and Grow Rich and Richest Man in Babylon. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, I'm in crisis. I need something stable where I know I can be, and I know I can do well, because I hadn't really come from a day job. Like I went to college and everything, but after that I eloped with hip hop, and just music, artists. And when you're by yourself, you can do those things. And then I get to a point where I'm looking for that stability. So it was more of an adventure than a strategy upon entry. It was, I know this is stable, so let me start this because this feels right for me. And I thought about it years before and had not executed it. But again, once I was married, my son's like one-ish, I'm like, it's time, right? Yeah. And so the strategy, I think, unfolded as a result of just doing that work. So one aspect of that is being in there, and within a year or so, when people start asking me to, speak to this department, like you were in our rookie whatever, and we want you to come back to that and speak. I'm like, Or certain people come through to observe our school, and so I'm starting to see what former teachers do or what teachers do on the side. And it's a lot of staff development type stuff, And so, believe it or not, I knew a lot about performing and doing concerts. I've done 6 shows with The Roots or 6 shows with Snoop Dogg or a bunch of stuff with Badu. And, a lot of kind of high stakes, go on right before Buster, just you and him. Like a lot of high stakes, high pressure type of situations to where teaching in the classroom or speaking is not really high pressure like that. Like it's important and it takes a lot of
Mm-hmm.
planning and
Gotcha.
you know, it's a big deal, but it's not a rap concert. You know, especially a rap concert. You know, the biggest training is performing for people who didn't come to see you.
Mm-hmm.
They spend a lot of money to see somebody else, and here you come for 20 minutes. So they like, this better be good, you know, and getting to the point of being able to be appreciated despite being an interruption in people's world.
Yeah.
So I bring that up for the sake of talking about engagement
Yeah.
and learning that engagement is very much a transferable skill. So there's the engagement of being a school teacher. There's engagement of being in a classroom and actually helping students to learn and, you know, practice things as opposed to just getting through the day. You know, that challenge is always there, but I'm pretty good at it. And so starting to realize the other opportunities that come from that. And one of the things, you know, that I learned was being a school teacher, a middle school teacher, at least for me, if I go do a keynote speech, or if I go and do a workshop in a number of different, you know, from teens to adults to, you know, big philanthropy or nonprofits or whatever, it's the same skill set
Yeah.
over and over and over and over again. And for all the talk of pedagogy, you know, educating kids versus andragogy, educating adults, sure, but it's all about the same.
Yeah.
And so I think strategy became for me looking for where else can this be useful? This part of what I do, where else can it be useful? And I started getting clues and I started, you know, asking questions and opportunities started to come beyond the classroom that only, you know, that were well respected by leadership, well respected by your school district. It's almost like good PR for them for you to go and do this other thing and make more money that day than the superintendent, but knowing you coming back to work.
That's a word.
That's what emerged within the first 3 years of teaching.
Gotcha.
So I was like, oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
It did.
Okay.
It more than answered the question. And one of the things that I heard as you were talking, because I mean, like, I got a hip hop superstar on the podcast today. So let's like,
Today?
yes,
Before this one?
you. And so that's skill. Like I'm no rapper, you know, I'm a great writer, but
Yes.
you know, it takes a lot of skill to you know, be a poet and then do what you have done. So you had a very just a great skill set before becoming a teacher. So you took that skill, which made you to what I'm sure is an amazing teacher, right? I've seen you work. I've seen you present to youth twice, so you do an amazing job.
You have.
Yes, I have. I've seen you twice. Yep, I have. And so that, then you add that you went inside of the school, and now you have gained more skills inside of the school, that now you could take both of those things and now be strategic outside of the school system
Absolutely.
to be able to afford to teach. So
Absolutely.
it's about, you said it, transferable skills.
Absolutely.
And I think if somebody were to take away, like, what does my strategy need to be? It needs to be sit down and take some inventory of everything that you can do.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that I you know, and feel free to chime in on this, but when I've seen you out doing your due, it was like on a weekday. I don't think either of those times were in the summer, but there may be some strategic use of summertime.
Yeah.
Talk about what that looks like once they take that inventory of skills. Now, how do you strategically use time management, not PTO, summer, days off, things like that, to be able to still be able to afford to be high impact, but then use your skills outside of the classroom?
So in my experience, there's an internal version of that and there's an external version of that.
Okay, yep.
So the internal version is I'm at a middle school. There's 800 kids. There's 100 adults. What presentation opportunities exist? Because keep in mind, I'm coming from rapping. I'm now in teaching. I don't know anything about public speaking yet. I've seen people speak and seen people preach and whatnot, but I've never thought about myself in that way at all.
Yeah.
However, we have assemblies at school. And when a principal shows up who's a drummer, and I have a talk about this on PBS, it's called Ants and Storms. But a principal shows up and it's a drummer, and he wants me to help him coordinate the assemblies. And next thing you know, it's a weekly assembly. And the other teacher who I'm, partnering with on this has a lot of ideas because he's an aspiring public speaker, and I don't know about that world. But him, as well as another friend of mine who shows up to work with youth, they both know a lot about, like, Eric Thomas and people, people like that. And I don't know anything
Hip-hop
about
preacher.
Yes,
Yes.
which I know nothing about at the time. But now every week I can practice who am I as a public speaker while I'm at work. So this is internal. Or if they want me to go talk to the rookies of Manor ISD where I'm at the time, that's internal, right? A lot of that stuff isn't paying at all, but it's paying.
Yeah.
It's like you go to the gym, you didn't get paid for it, but you got paid for it.
Yes.
So you're able to practice and figure out who you want to be
Absolutely.
at work. At work. Like on a regular basis, if that's what you decide you're going to do.
Right.
So then that's honing for the external, because then people are like, but you're the guy that's always doing X, Y, Z. Let alone, I mean, you understand this already, but the fact that you can have footage of it, or, people can start seeing you in a certain light, even though you're just practicing. And so.
And being paid to practice.
Because I'm at work.
And you at work.
Right.
Right.
Now, eventually it's like, this is a different thing.
Yeah. Don't end up on the clearance rack.
Right. However, until you understand what you understand in
Yeah.
terms of that part of the journey,
Yeah.
you have a free place to practice.
Absolutely.
It's almost like a free podcast studio
Yeah.
where you can have conversations with brilliant people, right? Here I am. So that's the inside, which qualifies for the outside, where you got to be real wise with the PTO. So sometimes it's a community-based thing. And even then, it's like, well, you got to pay me something, because otherwise I got to be at work. I got a wife and 2 kids. Like, I can't go negative today.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can't go negative, like gas money and eating wherever we are. Like, I can't go
Right.
negative today.
Right.
However, most of the time, it's more like, at this point, a month or months or, many months
Yeah.
for missing work for a day.
Right.
So if I'm a school teacher, and we'll just say I make $250 a day, right? Gross, net, whatever, that's not that much money. But it's money
Right.
that you will be missing. And so we have 10 days off as teachers. So one of them is like, how much can I do in the 10 days? But there's also the overflow of, if it's more than 10 days and it's a great opportunity, your school doesn't care if you go negative at school. So you can take PTO and not get, PTO is paid time off. So when you run out of the PTO, you can still take TO,
Right.
but they deduct it from your check.
Right.
So if, for example, somebody's going to deduct $250 and you're going to go make, 4 figures, maybe 5,
Yeah.
that's opportunity cost again. So I think it's just being strategic and having an understanding of, okay, where am I, right? Now, I have a thing or two to learn, which is why I have to listen to your TED Talk maybe 13 more times to figure out what to ask all the time. Because there's some situations where I know what to ask for. And there's some situations where I'm like, And then there's some things that feel community, and then, but they also they got it like that.
Yeah.
But then I'm still on some,
Yeah.
like I did the Urban League, basically a keynote at their most recent gala, and it was a great experience. I honestly would have wanted to do it for free. I didn't do it for free. I didn't do it anywhere near free. But
Good.
when I think about it, I'm like, man, I should have, at least asked for what I wanted. But it's just so it's kind of breaking out those things, getting off the clearance rack.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is, you practice inside to hone your skills.
Yes.
To figure out who you want and need to be, right? To get to, what you envision up to that point. And then once you go outside, the strategy is about, you might still need a sick day.
Yeah.
How do you know what to accept? How do you know what to decline? Sometimes it's only, twice what I would have got paid, and I'm missing school. But on the educational side, my students also know 9 times out of 10, if I miss work, it's because I'm going to do some other work. And I'm very open with y'all. If you're interested in what I'm going to do, we should talk about it anytime you're interested. They're always interested.
Yeah.
So it helps me to reflect. And, you have to find the value. Same way you have to find value for yourself, self-respect. Same way you have to seek and see value in other people. in my experience, you have to seek and see the value that's there, and then let that transfer and translate to what's out there, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. Man, you said a mouthful. That was good.
Thanks for helping me process it.
That was very good. I love
I don't ever talk about this.
the internal versus the external. And I was thinking as you were talking about it, because you was like, okay, you're getting paid for it, so you're doing it at work. And then after a while, like you're like, okay, well, let's make sure I don't end up on the clearance rack.
Right.
And
you're getting a lot.
It's kind of around this. It's kind of like the same thing of like doing the community work. Like sometimes I have to decide like, okay, what organization is it going to be, and then what's the threshold with organization or organizations? Because you'll find yourself doing community work or doing all this practice at work for free 100% of the time. And once you start doing it, that's why I kind of when you said after a while you got to stop, because then it starts to become an expectation.
Oh,
and so I think for
quickly.
So you'll find yourself, like I said, doing community work 100% of the time, 100% free, and now you set a bar and a precedence for what they should expect from you.
Yeah.
So I love the tidbit and the what you gave out around like make sure there's a stopping point was what I took from it.
Yeah.
And so I have an episode that I call. It was like probably one of our earlier episodes. It might be episode 5, which we're about to celebrate the 5th season of the 5-Minute Career Hack Podcast.
Hey.
Super excited. We're in season 5 right now. It was, do you understand the assignment? And a lot of us go into these workplaces thinking or having these expectations of, our job or our boss being our parent, or that they're going to love you to death do you part. I always talk about it's an open marriage. And one of the things that is our responsibility, or one of the things that's the assignment, is to make sure that you're there also to extract more skill. They're paying you, but to your point, like, I'm here to learn something as well. Like I always, when they hired you, I'm sure they didn't say, okay, we want him to come and never learn how to do more. Right? Like that's the expectation, that you are a continuous learner, that you're a critical thinker. And so I think that's the skill that you're like, one of the skills that you're able to show, and hopefully somebody takes from it, is I went to my job and I learned some more.
I did.
As I should. And now I was able to extract, as a part of the assignment, something that's going to help me continue to grow outside of the workplace.
Several things.
Yeah.
The challenge is keeping the energy up to really grow it outside of those 40, 50 hours that I'm putting in for that day job. Because teaching can be like community work when you take a real cold look at the compensation sometimes. I've been on my current teaching assignment 2 years and 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And 95% of those 2 years, the pay was whack.
Yeah.
It got a little better this fall, and then it got way better last month.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? So,
but the way better happened because of your family situation, not because of the salary increase.
Right. Yep.
So that may not be everybody's situation.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm just, speaking from experience that things can change somewhat, and it's not the same for everybody, and it also depends on where you live, what the rates of compensation are. Like you go somewhere like Houston, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Dallas is a little different as well, but here in Austin, it can be a little rough. And this time around, I'm at a public charter, so they're a little skimpier.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that? Oh, just there's a lot to consider.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, for me, it became these opportunities to facilitate learning, and then realizing, assistant principals are willing to learn from me, because I had a lot of hangups about, all I've done is teach and a whole lot of rapping and writing and stuff. But these people been in education so long and they know so much. And, I think in my 3rd year, I went to graduate school for educational administration.
Yeah.
And everybody in the program, it seems, has so much more experience and, in some cases, knowledge. I know what I know. I've experienced what I experienced, but there's a lot of that imposter syndrome. And so that was another thing sort of being discovered inside and outside, is that something's allowing me to facilitate learning for little kids, but also people that, technically are ahead of me. I'm still able to add value and help a lot of people that, in my mind, I would have little or nothing to offer.
Gotcha.
So that's been a discovery too. Just being open to discovering kind of what's out there for you.
Absolutely. I mean, you're teaching youth to stay curious, basically, and even your approach. And it's important that we do the same thing. So
Oh man.
I think that's phenomenal. So let me ask you this too before I get to the last question, because I remember when we had our pre-conversation, which was at the Bastrop Youth Summit.
Yeah.
Shout out to Heal Alliance doing great things in the city of Bastrop.
Yes, thank you, Crystal.
Yes, Crystal Grimes. One of the things you said was that you had heard from, I believe it was Saul Paul,
Yep.
you can afford to teach.
Yeah.
And so what we were talking about was like, but at what cost, right? And I do want to kind of explore that a little bit before I ask you the last question, because one of our most valuable commodities is time. And one of the things that probably makes teaching more of a burden is lack of time management. And like I said, I've seen you on teaching days, on school days. I think the first time I saw you was at an elementary school that you did not work at, and you were giving us a leadership workshop, right?
And now the principal of that school is my principal at work.
Oh, really?
Ain't that
Okay.
something?
All right, Rory. Yep. Love it. So one of the costs, right, that we've talked about is the time.
Can't afford it.
And
right?
so give your
Cannot
best.
afford to stay here. You start looking around.
Yeah.
People close to you
Yeah.
are saying, where you looking?
Yeah.
You looking elsewhere. What else are you doing? And the outside, speaking and things like that. There's ebb and flow. It comes and goes. It's strong. It's weaker.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to Saul Paul one day, and I can't remember how he worked this in, but I know I had said, I'm trying to get out of here, man, because I can't afford to teach. I love it. It's great for the most part. There is some frustration or whatever, but I just feel like it's time to get out of there because I just feel like I can't afford it. And that was pressure speaking. It was also some fear speaking. And reality as well. However, I am framing the truth in what I'm saying. And for some reason, less than a minute later, he said, yeah, you can afford to teach. And it was just loud, and it had a little echo on it, a little reverb.
Yeah. Little conviction with it, right?
And we're talking on the phone, because I go back very far with him, like before he rapped, before he went to the pen, all of that. And so I relate to him to where, I want to talk to him about things I'm trying to figure out. Because there's a lot of things that, he understands in the way that he does his business.
Yeah.
And so he slips that in. You can afford to teach. And I know he said it on purpose. Or I know he said it for a purpose. And I played it back to him a couple of minutes later. I was like, man, that was so cold when you said that. You can afford to teach.
Dropping bars.
And he was kind of like, no big deal. That's just how he's very, just cool, nonchalant or whatever. But what I heard in that moment, loud and clear, was based on everything that's happened up to this point, you, unlike many, can design from here how you want this to work. And it came through in a way where it was just undeniable fact. And it probably always was, but due to, a lot of grace and a lot of favor and now a lot of experience, over the past, 10, 12 years especially, he's right. So anytime that I hear myself saying different, I interrupt it. I say no to it, and I say it again, I can afford to teach.
Yeah.
And the growth area for me is doing it on purpose, because it's been proven time and time and time again that it can just. I'm the type of person who, at least 95% of all the work I've ever done, has been unsolicited.
I can relate.
And I'm
imagine if we sat down and really went after it. Like
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it.
Relate.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. What's intentional about that? What's intentional about unsolicited work?
That's a word. That's another podcast. That's actually a really good point. I love to talk about that. Yeah, I love to talk about that one day.
I'm saying, how can you be an intentional business person and you're hardly ever selling anything? You're just waiting for incoming sales.
Are you waiting for it? Is it coming to you because of the relationships you've cultivated?
I'm saying you're not sure, but you're not pursuing it.
Yeah, you're not.
So it's residual. It's fruit. It's a blessing.
Yeah, yeah.
But we have to go all the way parable of the talents with this, right? Like, what are you hiding? You know,
that's a bar. You dropping bars on the podcast.
I'm just saying.
What
are we doing?
Bar. Yeah.
What are we doing? Are we being fruitful and multiplying?
That's a bar. That's you. No, you.
Are we having dominion and are we subduing the earth? Like, is that what we're doing?
Probably not.
Or are we just being grateful and glorying in the fact that we are blessed when it happens?
Yeah.
Based on what we've already done.
Right.
But not actually leaning into I'm a hunt.
Yeah, yeah. I think it should be a mix, and I'll say it quickly because I know we got to wrap up here. But I think it should be a mix of both.
Of course.
And I think sometimes, to your "I'm sick of it" point, I don't even know if we're on topic, but I'm gonna say it. Sometimes it can be a little frustrating because it's like I'm so busy responding to this that I'm not being as intentional, which comes down to time management and access. Again, that's another podcast. However, I think that there has to be just some boundaries put in place, and then there's got to be some strategy in terms of how you use your time.
100%.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a mix of both. But at the same time, I get grateful because I do know that because I always use the joke of, I think this is happening to me because I'm not an asshole, because I'm such a great person. And, I don't meet a stranger. And people can quickly see my talent when I see them. So they're going to think of me when an opportunity comes. So I try to stay open to it.
That's
and
great.
Grateful for it.
That's great.
And there needs to be a balance.
Yeah, that's one-handed.
Because what it could be is you running wild, responding to all the things, and you don't have time for the intention. So maybe we use this as a community clip because I think this is very, very important. And though for teachers, I think what I pulled out of what you said, if I go from the top of what we've talked about to now.
You can afford to teach if.
Right.
You
manage your time. I think what I got from your conversation with Saul Paul, if you're sitting around a bunch of teachers that are complaining about being underpaid, you're going to stay a teacher that's underpaid.
Then there's that.
Whether it's my salary negotiation story that I always tell about my sister who said to me, "Why do you make so little?" I needed to be around her for her to say that to me, for me to start thinking different. You're around someone who changed your mindset with one simple sentence.
Yes.
So if you don't feel
it felt like
yourself
respect.
Being challenged, it's respectful. But if you're around everybody who's either complaining with you or making you feel good about everything and not saying that disruptive, challenging thing, probably need to get around some, different mentors. I'm not nice about it, but get around some different people who can maybe help you make this shift. And maybe it's your time management or how you're using your skills or how you're using your PTO or whatever that is.
That's right. And you're one of those people.
Oh, I appreciate that.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Very inspiring, very encouraging, and I think you really embody what's possible. And I'm sure it looks different to you because you live with you and you rode up here with you and all. I get it. However,
you get it.
However, as someone in another body from another life, right?
Yeah.
You're very inspiring in that way.
Thank you.
You inspire me to want to grow like my capacity. When I see, the intention that you put into, we'll just say, just social media in terms of the anticipation of your TED Talk, right?
Gotcha.
There's a whole rollout and there's a whole design of things that are preparing me to see something that I know nothing about, but now I'm kind of primed for it.
Right.
I'm like, all right, so it's definitely got something to do with the clearance rack. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely part of the talk. because she's hitting me with
I'm
that.
wearing y'all out with the clearance rack, right?
However, again, that's some of the stuff that I was talking to Saul Paul about on that exact conversation, right? Is when you have a TEDx coming, what do you do before? What do you do after, right? And how intentional is it? Because otherwise, you get what you get when somebody calls you and says, so I saw your TED talk and I was wondering if you could, and okay, cool. Residual.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Grace. Yay. But what I've seen that brother do, and what I know I can do, and what I know you can do, is, for example, you go and do some work, and you think about who are the 100 or 1,000 other clients that might need this exact same thing, like just copy, paste, and go tell them about it, because you already did it.
Yeah.
Especially when you do it with a client where there's 100 or 1,000 other clients who admire that one, right? Like this was UT Austin, or this was St. David's Foundation, or this was, whatever.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey, I'm just making that one up. But just, somebody was like, ooh, what? Beyonce. Yeah, I painted Beyonce's toenail.
Yeah.
So then you find 1,000 up-and-coming artists. You want your toenails done for your video? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's intentional. That's not waiting for, you want to what? Oh, man, God's the greatest. Like, that's great.
Yeah, it's great.
But I'm sick of just that.
Yeah. There's got to be some planning, some strategy, some boundaries. Yes. And make sure you just, I think there's a relationship building aspect to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the next level to me.
Yeah.
That's what I can't explain to you as clearly because that's what I'm working on myself.
Absolutely. I think we're all in this work too. And I thank you for coming on and talking about this. I hope that the educator or maybe even the person in their career that's trying to figure out and they don't feel like they make enough or they don't feel like or they're in a high impact role that, by design it doesn't pay, the max salary that they are capable of or that they're worth. In my opinion, I think that teachers are worth more than the salaries they're paid. I'm just being honest. But for that person
And
that's
stop charging us for benefits. Before that person.
But for that person that listens to this, I think they were able to get some good value about how they use their transferable skills, how they manage their time, who's in their network, internal and external extraction. That will help you be able to leverage your PTOs, leverage your summer times, leverage your TO, because you gave me the TO time. Leverage your TO and do the math to make sure that you can afford to teach.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing those tidbits with us. You shared more than tidbits. You shared bars and nuggets and books. So if you have final words, share your final 5 words and any final thing that you want to share with the audience before we wrap up.
5 words would be, I can afford to blank. So if there's something that you're called to do, like for me, it's teach. It's educate in a classroom, educate in a community, educate in a lot of different spaces. But if that's what I need to do, then I can afford to do it. But to truly bring that to fruition, I'm also going to have to go and intentionally add value to my own career, not just be comfortable and satisfied with what is falling into my lap.
Yeah.
That like there's another level, and that level of I can afford to blank is on the other side of like going out and making it happen as well.
Yeah.
So it can be comforting to experience what happens naturally and the glory of just what's showing up for you. But I think it is problematic to just glory in that and get comfortable as opposed to building a mechanism where you can multiply the things that you're already doing.
I love it.
Yeah, because then those days off,
Yeah.
they become so much more valuable.
Yeah.
Because you get paid more, and because you can start to line those days up way in advance.
Absolutely.
It's not 6 months anymore. It's not 3 months or 9 months anymore. It can be a year or 2.
Right.
Because I've seen it happen.
Right.
But there is no one who's going to do that for me. But the truth is, I can afford to.
Yes, I love
Fill
it.
in the blank.
What a great final 5 words. Thank you, Bavu. I can afford to fill in the blank. I think if you say start with the end in mind, you fill in the I can afford to is the end, and you reverse engineer it with
That's
your
it.
strategy,
That's
your
it.
time management,
That's it.
your relationship building skills. Listen, I hope this episode blessed you the way that it has blessed me. Thank you again, Bavu.
You're welcome.
For coming
Thank you.
on. To all the educators out there, we appreciate you. We see you. We value you. And today, you got more strategy on how you can afford to teach. Until next time, love y'all and be well.